Welcome back, Stay Paid listeners. Before we bring on our guest today, we would love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. While you're there, drop us a 5-star review along with a comment. We will read it here on the show. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. You get to check out the new studio. Look at the lights.
We don't have a ton
comments.
of views on YouTube, dude, but we are starting to get way more.
Hundreds. We have 13,000 subscribers.
Guys, help us. Help a boy out, man. Come on. Help a boy fulfill his
I want
dreams.
everyone listening to this or watching this to comment on the new lights.
We used to push Apple Podcasts constantly because that's where all of our listeners were, and then Spotify.
Yeah, but
and
you don't get the vanity metrics.
No, exactly. And then I was like, you know what? I'm too vain of a person. We need YouTube. And also YouTube is just so much more practical, honestly.
Yeah, make sure to search Reminder Media on YouTube. You can subscribe to us there and follow the Stay Paid podcast playlist. Joining us today is Nick Harris. Nick is a top producing real estate agent with Best Life and Company, the #1 EXP team in Michigan for homes sold. And over the past 4 years, Nick himself is averaging over 100 homes a year. With today, Nick is committed to sharing his knowledge and experience with other agents to help them scale past 300K in GCI with the Wealthy Realtor Method. Nick, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited.
I'm going to hold you to that commitment, Nick. You have to share your secrets. Now, so we're at the end of April here. How has the beginning of the year been for you? Like what type of volume or transactions? Because a lot of people are complaining about the market, but where do you find yourself?
Yeah, beginning of the year has gone really well. I have closed, I believe to date, I've closed 24 transactions for a little over 8 million in volume.
Yeah, get out of here.
Man,
that's sick, dude.
Yeah, going really well. Michigan, so I'm in the Michigan market, and the Michigan market is very seasonal. Spring and summer is, a lot like most markets, is really where we see an uptick, but in Michigan specifically, due to primarily the weather, most people don't want to move in the dead of winter. So usually Q1 and Q4 are a little bit slower, a little bit tougher. So, I'm blessed.
So you've done well then. Yeah, if that's slower for you. So what is working? Like, let's get real kind of into the tactics. Like what is working to produce 8 million in volume, 24 transactions? Where do you see the leads coming from? And then we can talk about maybe how you're nurturing them or how you're getting them.
Yeah, right now, the majority of my business is coming from, especially Q1 of this year, majority of my business is coming from sphere of influence and just repeat referrals, but also social media and some circle prospecting. So the big three, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would probably say like 33% for each lead source across the board. Wow. That's nice to have a few different things, but yeah, sphere of influence, social media, and then circle prospecting are the primary drivers right now.
And how is social media?
Is that organic or is that like paid ads?
Yep. So primarily organic. I do run some paid ads on the back end, but it is not the bulk. I kind of do it to supplement the organic because I specifically target people in my demographic, but also my client avatar. So, through Meta, Facebook, and Instagram, I find that a lot of people go into it and think that the ads will boost organic, which is true. And I also see it on the opposite end, right? Like I see that my organic actually boosts my ads. And it gets people more familiar with me. So I would say most of it is coming organic just because one reason or another, what I'm seeing a lot right now is that people will see your ad, but rather than opt in, they may go to your page and then they're contacting me directly through my direct message, which is great because now I'm not paying for an ad, right? But they're coming to me direct just to go to my page and search who I am. And these people are, becoming more familiar with me due to the information that I put on my organic outreach. So they're building a little bit more like, and trust rather than just listening to a 60-second long ad.
Yeah, we just talked to a top producer over in like Waynesboro area, and I think he closed 175 last year. He said 95% of his business was organic social media. But I looked, he like pulled up his DMs, and I'm like, why are you getting DMs and we're not getting DMs on our stuff? So I'm curious about that. Like, what are you posting?
Yeah, so a lot of it is the call to action, right? And where I get most of my DM communication is interactive posts on my stories. So it's polls, it's questions, it's the this or that polls where people are engaging with that. Like I do a this or that post every Thursday, and it can be seasonal, like 4th of July coming up soon. So it's like, are you a hot dog or a hamburger person? Something completely outside of real estate, right? Yeah. Or very specific to real estate where it's do you prefer this style home, a ranch versus a colonial? Do you prefer this flooring over that flooring, these cabinets over that cabinets? And I get a ton of engagement out of that. I think where most people fall short is they just take the engagement as great. People are commenting or posting or picking a poll, but then they don't do anything with it. So like I make a conscious effort to actually reach out to those people and start conversation. Most of my conversations are just very, very personal, not real estate related. Even if they're picking a poll on a real estate related post, I just tick it right back to something personal. And I feel like that helps a lot. So, and I'm not afraid to go out and actually start the conversations myself, right? So if people are liking your posts, I mean, it's a very small factor. Likes and follows are a very small factor. They're not a very clear indication of like you're doing business. We can go down a whole rabbit hole with that. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've posted something, I've gotten very minimal likes on it, whether it was a just closed, just listed, just client story, a reel about a property, whatever it might be. I mean, pick any of them. You get very minimal likes, but then, I go to a wedding and it's, 10 years removed from college and I'm seeing 20, 25 people and 50% of them haven't liked a single post, haven't said anything to me, but make a comment of like, looks like you're crushing it in real estate. And then they're saying, we're actually thinking about buying or selling in this time frame, or, hey, my parents are going to do this. Like people notice. So yeah, it's a very low percentage that like follows and likes don't really amount to anything. It's how interactive are you in the DMs and messaging and commenting back when people comment. And I think the more that you can set aside some time to do that on a daily basis. For me, I do it in the morning, the afternoon, the evening. I take like 10 minutes each time. So 30 minutes a day just to respond to people. And then I'm done. Nice. And I'm not doing it until the next morning.
And do you have any other cadences? Like you said, Thursday you do polls. Do you do
Yeah. So general rule of thumb, what I do right now and what I teach a lot of agents to do, and I think it helps with social media pretty dramatically, is I call it my social 3-3-3. So 3 different categories, 3 follows, 3 direct messages, 3 comments, minimum per day. Now you can pick whatever you want to do with that, right? If you're not super busy and you have the time to do it, or you're super heavy on social media, follow 10 people, direct message 10 people and comment on 10 people's posts. I kind of treat it as like my minimum is social 3-3-3. I'm going to follow 3 people, direct message, and then comment on 3 different people's posts. So I do that on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. And it helps the algorithm a little bit. The algorithm sees that, hey, Nick and Cody are now in a conversation. Right. I should probably put Nick's stuff in front of Cody. And if you're doing that to 9 new people a day, it's constantly moving that algorithm in a circle to put your information in front of them. And again, even if it is, you hear all the back and forth on like, don't post just listed, just sold. I don't think there's anything wrong with it personally. You guys may argue with me, but the more experience and the more transactions that you're showing, you're no longer a secret agent. Right. Same thing with like day in the life videos on your stories and in reels, like show people that this is what you do. If you're making cold calls to help a buyer find a home because we can't find anything on the market, and you're showing the extra effort to call around a specific neighborhood that they want to be in, and Susie on the other end of the phone sees that and is like, well, I've never had an agent who's done that for me. Like take videos of that stuff. Post it.
Dude, you're so much like an agent on our team, Tim. And Luke, the way you coach Tim is like identical to what you just said. That's awesome. You're scheduled.
What's interesting is like, I think you should do just listed, just solds. And that type of content. I think it's a mistake not to do that, but I think where majority of agents fail is that's all they do. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't work if you didn't have the engagement of the DMs and you didn't have the polls, because essentially it's like a just listed, just sold is advertisement. But when they know you personally, it's actually productivity. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? It's like, unless people know you personally, they will not make the switch from ad to personal production, like personal productivity. Mm-hmm. And so like I always tell people, you have to do the personal connection because it takes all your advertising and puts it on steroids. It takes everything else you're doing and actually makes it relevant. And now every other piece of marketing you do, it stands out. I actually spoke at a conference where Brad Lee spoke before me, and he was teaching everybody about social. And my thing was, and I told people, is basically, look, you're not going to be the next Brad Lee. The amount of people who are going to be Brad Lee or going to be a Grant Cardone or going to be an Alex Hormozi is very little. And you don't even want to be. And so instead of taking 20 minutes to film a perfect video, take 20 minutes to actually go talk with people on social through comments, DMs, because it influences the algorithm anyways. And that is where the real gold is. But I think people are so focused on the content that they're missing the engagement. And unfortunately, you can produce content all day long. And I see this with people, they produce content all day long, but it doesn't get any engagement. It's because these people don't know you, like you, or trust you. And you have to do the work through social. And we've even had this happen for us. You'll have a viral video and that's what you're waiting for. Like I have a video, I think it says like 1.9 million views on Instagram. It's like, but it didn't do anything. It gained, maybe it gained a few thousand followers, but it didn't do anything for my social. So it felt like that's what I was chasing. Oh, chasing. It happens. You're like, shoot, I really should have just been picking up the cinder blocks every day and engaging with people on social. So here's a question for you when it comes to Sphere, because I think this is the struggle. Every agent comes on and the majority of their business is Sphere. And everybody knows you got to stay top of mind. Is the Sphere coming to you, or are you asking the Sphere for business to get that 8 million? Or was it truly just all the keeping in front of them led to that? Because I'm just curious, do you have a proactive ask on your Sphere that generates leads for you? Or is it just, hey, out of the first quarter, not that you got lucky because it's all the brand building you did, but it just happened in the first quarter for you versus you were proactively asking?
Yeah, I would say it's all the above. So, I think it starts with, I think it does. I think it starts with your organic social. And I couldn't agree more with everything else that you were saying on social, and everybody, is after that, just the content wants to go viral. I can say, to any agent out there, I have not had a single reel, single post, not one go viral. And I'm closing, 100 plus deals a year. Not one post has gone viral, and that's okay for me. Right. And as far as sphere of influence, I think it's a combination of everything. So I do have an intentional plan of outreach. So in addition to my social 333 that I do on a daily basis, I do what I call an SOY 5. I know that these are really creative.
I love them.
That's great, dude.
So I do a social 5 where Monday through Friday, I reach out to 5 people within my sphere and I send them a personalized video text message. It's nothing fancy. It's me sitting here in a t-shirt and I pull out my phone and I record myself for 15 seconds.
That's gold.
Only personal information. I'm not asking them for business, not telling them, not reminding them that I'm in real estate. And, for most people, it's like, well, where do I start with that? Right. I would go to wherever you have the most of your sphere, whether that's your phone contacts, is that your Facebook friends, is that your Instagram followers, and just go A to Z. That's what I do. I go in my phone contacts, A to Z. So if I'm going to start with today being day 1, I'll start at A. I'll pick out the first 5. I'll send them a video text message, 10, 15 seconds of, hey, was just scrolling through my contacts, cleaning them out. Came across your name, realized we haven't talked in like what feels like years. I hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. If I know something through social media or I know something just happened, I might bring it up. But then it's just, hey, we'd love to connect with you. Hope everybody's doing well. And let's chat soon. Right. I like video because people see a video come in and they're going to be intentional about watching it. And it's much harder than a text message to ignore, right? If you see a video come through from me and you can't watch it right now, you're going to wait, keep it unread, and then watch it when you can and respond. But most people, when they get a text message and they're busy, they'll look at it and be like, it's Nick. I can't take care. I can't deal with that.
It's so true, man.
What's your response rate on that? Like, is it a hit every time?
I mean, I can't say 100%, but it is very close. I mean, just depending on the day, and then I'll get a response. You might not get a response day 1. Like what I have found is if I send it out and I'm not getting a response, they're responding within like 24 hours. And it's a, hey, completely forgot about this. Sorry, I was busy. And
wow.
Then they get back. So
see, people like you though. So I don't know if they like it.
Yeah, they'll respond to you, Steve, with the middle finger. No,
yeah, we haven't talked in years. You're trying to sell me.
So do you have like a CRM database that you're keeping track of all this stuff too?
Yeah. Yep. So I use Follow Up Boss. It's what I have used. It's what I like. I did it. I didn't go into research mode on the CRM. If I had something and I knew how to use it. So, but I mean, to go back on that, I mean, when I first started, I used a Google spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was literally what I used. And productive, but not optimized for sure. Right. I mean, a lot of leads fell through the crack. I can guarantee that. But I got so accustomed and used to working with something that was very low grade, just using an Excel or a Google spreadsheet, that once I actually had a CRM in place to set tasks and follow-ups and, to nurture different leads, it made it 100% better. But the nice thing about that SOI, that SOI 5, is that, again, you're going A to Z, Monday through Friday, you're reaching out to 5 people. What I have found for the number of people that are in my phone contacts, it takes me about a quarter to get through when I'm just sending 5. And the reason I pick 5 is because I don't want to get overwhelmed with, starting 15 conversations in a day. If you have the bandwidth and you have the capacity to send out 5 or 15 of those a day, great. Right. But what this also allows is that I'm going through every single person in my contacts at least once a quarter, just sending them a personalized message. And I make an intentional effort to check their social media on Facebook or Instagram, see if anything has happened. Did they get married? Did they go on vacation? Did they have a baby? Did their kid graduate?
Do you do video every time?
Video every time. Yeah, I like doing video every single time. And so that just keeps me top of mind. In addition to that, it's the social media outreach, just staying in contact with people. And then obviously I still consider my past clients to be my sphere of influence. Yeah. And so I have a follow-up system with them too. I'm reaching out a week after they close. I'm reaching out a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months after that. I run 3, my team runs 3 client events a year. And so, I'm pretty much in contact with people once a month. I mean, it just the way that my system flows, and everything is just personal. It's not real estate related. And then what I have found is that opens up the door to ask the question, ask for the business, whether it's them or someone that they know. But I never bring that up. Right. The only time, and it might be like a backdoor move, is if they're not asking me, I get to the position, and ultimately, it's a big piece of what people do. It's their family, their hobbies, and what they're doing for work. And so I ultimately structure that conversation around, hey, even if I don't know, like, hey, remind me again, what are you doing for work these days? Like, what's going on? Like, once that conversation gets rolling, inevitably they're going to ask you. And what I always recommend to people is obviously answer in regards to real estate, whether you're brand new or whether you're experienced and you're in real estate. But where I think most people get stuck on this is that if you're going back and forth on a text message, or even if you're just on the phone, they stop the conversation at real estate rather than jumping into the next thing. Now that person feels like all Nick reached out to me about is a
that's so good.
Right. So you might say, hey, yeah, they may say something to you. If they know you're in real estate, yeah, I see real estate's doing great. How's the market so far? Make a slight comment about it. And then immediately within that same text message or within that same breath, jump into, hey, what do you guys got planned for the summer? Kids busy with sports, or what's going on this weekend? What do you got planned for Mother's Day?
Yeah, because that's what you would do in an actual real convo.
That's right.
Well, and that just happens. Once you're in real estate for so long, that's the conversations that happen. You have normal conversations, and they're typically always going to ask.
Yeah, because you're not trying to sell. You're just, having a relationship with somebody.
What are you doing for your, you said 3 client events a year? What type of events are you doing?
Yeah, so our team, so I coach and mentor agents on our team, and we have about 45 to 50 agents depending on the day, but we do 3 client events a year. We do one in the fall, one in the summer, and one in the winter. We just finished our winter one a couple of months ago. We did a place out by us. It's called The Hub. So they have golf simulators, axe throwing, foaling, food provided. A lot of that is sponsor driven. Our lenders, our title companies, different partners, inspectors. But we have, free reign to invite all of our past clients or people that have closed or right on the line of working with you. So we do that for the winter. For the summer, we do like a splash pad or an outdoor park. So it's a little bit more kid friendly. So the winter one was adults only, drinks, food, games. Summer is kid friendly. So it's a splash pad or an outdoor park. They have like a petting zoo. We do food trucks for that. And then usually in the fall, we do a cider mill. So there's a cider mill around us that has pretty much everything with, petting farm, pumpkin patch, different rides, different stuff.
That's sweet.
So those are the 3 that we do, and people really like them.
Nice, man. Hey, quick question. How many people are in your database? So if you're closing 33%, instead of 28, so you're like, what, 7 sphere? How many people are actually in the database sphere-wise?
So I treat my database maybe different than what someone would. So I consider my actual database to be people who I know are going to transact within the next 24 months. If they're not going to transact within the next 24 months, then they're not technically in my database.
Interesting.
So, because
why do you do that? Why do you exclude out the other people?
So I keep the two separate, right? So like if you wanted to think of one, like the broad database being everyone that I know, everyone that knows me, like that's my phone contacts. I'm hitting them once a quarter, right?
Okay.
But for my actual database, or like my CRM, these are people who are highly intentional. I need to be highly intentional about reaching out to them because, again, I don't want anything to slip through the cracks. So I trust that through my process, through my social media content, through my daily outreach, through my social 5 videos. I mean, I'm getting in contact with these people consistently. And as soon as they hop in and show any signs of buying or selling within the next 24 months, they get transitioned into that narrow database. But what I have found is most people overwhelm their database with too many leads.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when you get stuck in too busy with follow-up, don't know what to do with follow-up, too broad of content. You're just trying to get stuff out there and in front of them. And it's not good. It's not good content. It's not good value.
Yeah,
that's a great nugget, Luke. That's
it really is. Yeah, I was going to say I figured that's why you were doing it, because the number one mistake, Josh and I were joking before we got onto the podcast about, man, the biggest mistake we made was too many focuses for Reminder Media with products and stuff like that. And it's a similar trap, right? What you're talking about is put everybody in your database, and it's like, yeah, in theory, it makes a lot of sense. You should have everybody, but you can't actually do that well. And so being real with yourself and actual intentional is so key in business. But a lot of times you only learn that by experience. And that's the problem.
Yeah, so what's the narrow focus? Like how many people are in that narrow focus?
Within my narrow focus, it's probably I would have to look. I would say it's probably no more than about 600. Okay. But if you were to look at like the total, it's 5,000 plus, right? Just people, acquaintances that I've come in contact with. I think another thing with treating it like that, what that has done for me, at least mentally, is like my database isn't as big as what I think it is, right? If I'm like, I have this database of 5,000 people, like I'm set, I'm good. Something's going to happen. But if I know I have to feed that narrow one, I'm constantly trying to pull people from one to the other to get them in there. So now it's a conscious effort to say, I need to build this up, but they need to be serious. Yeah. I can't, I think too many people, especially in real estate, get lazy with it. Great. You can have you can make 200 dials a day if you're doing outbound outreach, or you can knock on 50 doors, but really what was it? It was just busy work. Like what was the actual result of that? And so I just funnel the people in who are actually serious. And that's why I don't let that get overwhelming, because as soon as they transact, they're out of there, right? Like, okay, now my contact, I have a follow-up for them, but I'm not treating them as like, hey, these people are going to transact within the next 24 months. Sure, something can happen where they need to sell within the next year. But I'm constantly trying to funnel that smaller database, and the smaller it stays, the more motivated I am to get people in there.
Yeah, small nuanced question, but do you use like your FUB number for those people and then your personal number for the other, or are you just using your personal number?
Yeah, I tried using the two, and I got completely overwhelmed with it. So I just use personal number. I found that like for people, I found when I tried to make the switch, because I before joining FUB, my business had started before then, right? And then I would try to reach out through Follow Up Boss with that Follow Up Boss number, and people weren't responding. And what ended up happening was people thought that it was like either a fake person, someone that was trying to imitate me, or they just didn't respond. They saw it come in differently rather than my main number. And they're like, well, why is Nick texting me off this when I have his number saved? So like I wish from the start, if I had to do it all over again, I would keep the two completely separate. But where I was in my business at the time, it didn't function properly for me to have two separate. But if I had to start over, I would.
Yeah, we just went through the pain. I was just like, you know what? This is my new personal number. So like I give out that personal number to friends, like whoever it is, it's my FUB number.
Yeah.
That's actually super smart. That is such a nuanced golden nugget of like, when you get into real estate, get yourself a CRM and choose a CRM number.
Yeah.
To update all of your sphere and everybody like this is your new number, so you can actually track system wise what's happening with that number.
That you're closing 100 off of using your phone and the CRM together. Like my brain doesn't work like that. It's like I have to have the inbox, or else it's
you're a freaking assassin. I'm curious because I think this would be super valuable. Is if I come join your team, right, or I want to be Nick, because that's where I think most agents would be, and I want to shadow and mimic you for a day. What does a normal, I know every day is a little different in real estate, but a normal day look like of how much time I'm prospecting, how much time I'm posting, how much time I'm like, what would my schedule look like?
Yeah, so I am very calendar oriented. I've been that way. So I've been an athlete my whole life. I played college baseball, and everything was like, you were here at this time, you were at study at this time, you were at class, you were at practice, you were at weight training, you were at food, like everything was structured. So for me, that was like super easy. I needed some type of structure in my business. And for me, if I don't have that, I completely forget what the hell I'm supposed to do. Yeah. Like that's just how it is. Like if it's not in my calendar, it's gone. So like I start with all of my personal things, my family life, my wife, my child, whatever we want to do, everything goes in, it's color coordinated, it's purple for personal. Right. And if it's not there, I completely forget. So if my wife has to go and do something and I'm supposed to be watching my daughter, it's in my work calendar. I need to know that. But a typical day in the life, I mean, I have everything in my calendar. The biggest chunk of time that I have in a calendar is my prospecting time. Everything outside of that is no more than 30 minutes. So you'll see little 30-minute increments throughout the day. And I like that because I lose focus after a while, right? If I'm working on one thing for too long, I'm picking up my phone, I'm checking my email, I'm wanting to walk outside to the fridge or whatever it might be. So I put everything in 30-minute increments. I wake up early. In the morning, I do what I call my deep work, where I work on the business rather than in the business. So from 5 a.m. until about 7, that's a big chunk of time. But within that, I have a list. I do it the night before where I put a list of these are the 2, 3, 5 things that I want to get accomplished where I'm working on the business rather than in it. That might be content creation and coming up with different things that I want to do. That might be updating my social media. That might be updating my signature. It might be, having conversations and trainings for my ISAs or VAs or showing agents and buyer's agent, like things that are actually going to grow the business. So my first 2 hours of the day, 5 to 7 is what I call my deep work or working on the business rather than in it. Generally from there, I like to spend a little bit of time with my wife and my daughter. So breakfast time, hang out, gives me a break, a little bit of a mental break. Then I started by going directly to the gym, and then I would find that by the time I'm back from the gym, showered, I didn't have the quality time that I wanted with my wife and daughter because things started to come up. So I then go to the gym, put my phone on do not disturb. I'm at the gym around, like 9 o'clock, workout from 9 to 10. It's usually still a safe spot for me where my phone's not blowing up. And then once I'm back, it's right into prospecting. So I feel good. I have endorphins going. I feel good. And I usually jump right into prospecting. Everybody's a little bit different with this. Just pick what you like. But it's kind of that eat the frog mentality where, again, as you experience real estate, you think that you're going to have a flexible calendar. You come to realize that like your calendar is completely dictated by the clients that you're working with. You're going to show up to the listing appointment when they're ready. You're going to go to the showings when they're ready. You're going to schedule the inspections when they're ready. So what I found is that the morning is the best time for me to actually get the prospecting done. So I like to spend at least 2, if not 3 hours up until lunch where I'm intentionally prospecting. And that might look different. And right before that, I should go back. Right before that is when I do my like after the gym, before my prospecting is when I do my social media 333 and my social 5 videos. So that's done. Then I jump into cold outreach. For me, it's been a lot of circle prospecting. I've had a lot of success from that. And as I've grown, that can be, and if you're in that position, that can be delegated to an ISA, a VA, a showing agent, a buyer's agent, get them some reps as well. So then lunch, and then I open up the afternoons for appointments for new agents who are not consistently seeing business. Right after that lunch, like give yourself that mental break, but you should be jumping right back into the business of prospecting, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's a different method. If you spent the morning calling, maybe you spend the afternoon on social media, or maybe you spend whatever it might be. I mean, there's every traditional method in the book of door knocking or networking or whatever it might be for you. Find what you like and what works and give it time to actually work. So after lunch, I set my day up for appointments, usually pretty busy. I don't go on many showings anymore. I would say maybe 10% of my showings, and it's usually determined by the client themselves. If I feel like they need that little extra push, or
because you have a showing agent on the team you are giving
Correct.
this to.
Correct. Yep. So I have multiple showing agents, and I've learned over time how to pitch that to where it's a benefit for the buyer, rather than, a benefit for just me. That did take some time and some practice to really relay that information, but then it's open to listing appointments and different opportunities to communicate with people. Usually by the end of the day, again, I'm wrapping up. What am I going to do the next morning for my deep work? What am I going to intentionally focus on that next morning when I have just some quiet time? And then the day wraps up. Obviously, again, in real estate, you're going to get people reaching out at different times. One thing that really helped me for busy agents out there who are having a hard time keeping track of your schedule and sticking to it, and having people who do not respect that. I have what has changed my business completely. Number one, you set the expectation ahead of time in the listing appointment or in the buyer consultation, or just when you're having that normal conversation of here's what my schedule looks like, right? If you're a highly paid professional, so act like one, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. And the correlation is always between like us and doctors, right? Different, but similar. Like you're not telling your doctor when you can go in. More than often, your doctor's telling you, hey, I have an opening 2 months from now, right? It's okay as a professional to treat your business like that. If you're there every waking moment and you're responding super quickly, they think that that's going to continue happening, right? And now the expectation is it does. So if you can't get them in for the same day showing, you can't get them in for, you can't respond to them within the first 10 minutes, but you've been doing it for 2 months. Now you're the bad guy. Now something's wrong. They're thinking about doing something else. But one thing, so outside of setting the expectations in a buyer consultation, a listing appointment, what I have done is if you call me, my voicemail is very specific to my working hours. So if you call me and says, hey, sorry, you've got my voicemail. If you're calling me between the hours of this and this, I'm busy prospecting for my buyers and sellers to help them in their current transactions. I'll be available to respond between this hour and this hour. And if you're calling me after 5 p.m. and this is an emergency, please get a hold of myself by text or my assistant. I leave her number. Or if this is something that doesn't need handled right away, please send me a text message and I'm going to get to this as soon as I can. So like, even just within my voicemail, it's like, here's when you can contact me. Here's what to expect. And I did not have that. So like, you would have somebody call you at 5 o'clock at night, and then they're calling you again at 7, and then they're calling you again at 10. And it's like, that simple voicemail was, hey, if this is after 5 and it's an emergency, text me. I'll get back to you, or reach out to my transaction coordinator who can help. So that's just
it's so good. It's so good too, because we touched on that. I forget what episode it was on with another, I think it was Maria Boatsman, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Yep. But we touched on that same concept of like, if you set the precedence that you're going to respond and then you don't get any gain, you get all loss, and you're setting expectations that are not realistic. And the buyer, I think, or seller respects you less subconsciously, because you're not actually showcasing that, hey, I'm busy. I'm a professional. This is what I do. And it's a balance, because you don't want to be unavailable. But you want to, and what I love about what you're doing is, because you're setting that voicemail, you're telling them, like, people fear that if I don't respond, they're going to think I'm not available and I can't service them. What you're doing with your voicemail is the complete opposite. I'm so professional that I'm actually working right now. I'm actually, and it actually removes that excuse of the reason why they wouldn't want to work with you, and makes them want to work with you more. Yeah. Because I love how you're prospecting for your buyers and sellers, which is fantastic. I freaking love that. So good.
Awesome. Dude, this is the podcast that every new agent needs to listen to. Like, this really is the one. Like, so it's like, that is the schedule that you have to keep. And that's almost identical to Tim, shifting times and stuff. But like, he does all of the same things, and he's doing the same exact like transactions that you're doing. That's crazy, man.
It is wild. It's real estate is simple, but not easy. It's like, real estate is simple, but not easy. And you could probably say that for most professions. It's just that consistency that is so hard. And most people do not have, Nick. It's obviously been built into you through your athletics or whatever it was. Maybe it's your personality of keeping to your calendar. I know I don't have that. And so what you have to do is you have to find an accountability thing that's, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a reward discipline system that you lay out for yourself, but you must find something that forces you to do that. So maybe you have it, and obviously you didn't just have it. You learned, built that skill over years and years of your self-development. But it's like, that is the winning mentality, is that ability to put on your schedule and honor it, do what you say you're going to do. And that's the first thing I coach agents on, or talk to people about, is number one skill is to have complete integrity with yourself. And the only way to have that is to do exactly what you say you're going to do, to the point where you're confident enough to tell people, I won't do that.
Luke's dropping bombs. Like Bradley.
Like Bradley over here. Someone make an explosion sound.
Nick, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing your experience. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, you can always follow me on social media. So it's just first name, last name, Nick Harris _realtor. And then I'm happy to have people reach out to me from my cell phone as well. So I'll get my number out. It's 248-875-2299. Any way I can connect with anybody and help, whether you're brand new, experienced, hit a plateau, whatever it might be, reach out. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Love it. Stephen Cody, thank you again for joining us. As always, we will include all of those links and how to get a hold of Nick as well in the show notes of this episode. You can get those wherever you listen to this episode. If you're listening to YouTube, it's going to be in the comments. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it'll be in the show notes. And of course, you can get everything at staypaidpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Reminder Media YouTube channel. You can email myself or Luke at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social media. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Nick, man, phenomenal. Just a beast. I cannot wait to get to know you more and learn more about your journey because you are crushing it. And it is amazing how similar so many things that you're doing to the other top producers that we talk to, which just means success leaves clues. That's what it means. I also want to point out to everybody, because this is so applicable to new agents, like we said, we're doing a new version of Stay Paid coming out soon, which I think you guys are going to freaking love. We are doing questions live on the show. So if you're a real estate agent right now listening to this and you're just like, man, I want to ask Nick this question, that is what this show is going to be about. Is you can call in from anywhere around the country and get your questions answered, the things that you're dealing with, the struggles, the pains, or if you just want to call in to brag, you can do that too. Go to staypaid.com/ask or DM us at Stay Paid Podcast on our Instagram. We will line you up to do the show. I think our next show, we have like 6 guests lined up already that are all over the country, agents just calling in and asking us their biggest pain points. But I love it. And the reason why it popped in my mind is because Nick just laid out for you such a great template. We're going to have him back on one of those Q&A shows where he can actually help answer some of the questions for agents that are struggling or that just need a little kick in the butt, as they say. Here's my action item for all of you guys listening to this, right? Is you've heard it said many, many times that you got to honor your calendar. So I want you to take some time and sit down and actually map out your whole week. Maybe you're not honoring your calendar. Map out the week and commit to following it for the week. And put a reward out there for you, or put some discipline embarrassment out there for you by getting somebody else involved. Maybe even be really brave and put it out on your social media and say, hey, I'm going to honor this calendar. Hold me to it. Because that is one of the absolute keys to all successful people. They honor and do what they say. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.